Hi, everybody. My name is Brittany O'Brien, and I am a parental leave consultant here in Sacramento. And I've worked with over 900 expecting parents in the last year to help them navigate and maximize their time off when they need to go on California parental leave. So, this is basically just a quick overview. There's a lot in here, obviously, because there's a lot of pieces to California parental leave, but not to worry. I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do to really try and maximize your time. I offer full one-on-one consulting for expecting parents who pay into state disability. The first thing that you want to do just to make sure that you qualify for parental leave is just checking your pay stub. Under tax deductions, you should see something that says CA disability or CASDI. If you've paid into that and you've made at least $300 from the last year before you go out on disability, you can get paid 70 to 90% of your income. So it's a really great program. You actually pay 1% of each paycheck into this fund. And what that means is that the state will basically decide based on your previous income what to pay you when you need to go out on parental leave. So obviously there's a lot of moving pieces. I know it can feel really overwhelming to navigate all this, but that's why I've created this document just to kind of walk you through what you need to do. The best thing to do just in terms of determining if you can get state disability, not everyone pays into this, which is interesting. Actually, only like 25% of people pay into state disability. So if you work for the government or if you're a teacher, not everyone pays into CASD. So you want to make sure that you check your pay stub and you see that there. This is really what gives you the money from the state when you need to go out. So just in terms of deciding when you're going to go out on disability, this is really for the expecting moms. Technically, you can take up to 4 weeks before your due date. Under the pregnancy disability leave law, that means basically you're disabled at 36 weeks. So it's up to you if you choose to take that time. I do say it kind of is use it or lose it, but theoretically, if you want to work up until your due date, technically you could use that time later to extend disability a little bit longer. Again, it's up to you. Some people split the difference, go out 2 weeks before, but this is where we can talk through in our consulting what makes the most sense for you. Just in terms of working with HR, again, this is a big part of why the one-on-one consulting is so valuable. Everyone has different work situations, different tenures. All of these things really play into how you can maximize your time. But really, the great thing about California is that we have really strong laws that protect you when you need to go out. There's something called the pregnancy disability leave. I'm sure you've heard this term floating around. What this means is regardless of how long you've been at a company, you can take up to 17.3 weeks of job protected time. It doesn't mean that you get that time right off the bat. You do have to be written out by a doctor. But I think what's really great about this is people will come to me and they're like, you are job protected under the PDL because there's no amount of time that you need to have worked at a company to get this. There's the second part of the law called CFRA, and this is basically the bonding time. This gives you 12 weeks of job protected time. It is only relevant if you've been at a job for at least a year and worked 1,250 hours. A lot of companies are open to, coming up with ways to get creative to protect jobs. This is where I can help you to walk through, the language and walk through exactly how you can make sure that you're job protected. Just in terms of applying for state disability, working with the EDD isn't the most intuitive thing. The main thing that is important to know in terms of state disability and filing is that you want to file 9 days after your last day of working. The state actually says this on the website. Basically, what happens is when you go to apply for disability, they have to look back and see that you're missing out on wages. So it's better to do it the 9 days after, just so they can make sure that they see that you're not working and they approve you. It's a wage replacement program, so it does make sense. Again, just in terms of the numbers and what you qualify for financially, that's what we can go through on the call together. I'll cover a lot of that in my consulting, but basically on the EDD website, there is a really helpful calculator that they give you access to. When you go to apply for state disability, they don't tell you exactly how much money you're going to make. They just come back with a number. So sometimes that can trip people up a little bit. But just in terms of, kind of the overall process. So disability runs first. And then the second program is called paid family leave. So that's 8 weeks of payment. This is actually relevant for both parents. If you do pay into CASDI, you guys can split this time. It's separate money, it's separate filing, no waiting period with this. And then again, it's calculated just based on your historical income. So all of this is done through the EDD. In my consulting, I'll walk you guys through exactly how to file for these things, the step-by-step process, because sometimes people can get tripped up on these things. The good news is if you both pay into this, you can both file and take the time. A big question that I get asked, and this is a big part of the consulting as well, is if I do need additional time, which a lot of people do need. The state allows you technically to extend your disability up to 51 weeks if you need it, but your job is only protected for that 17 weeks. This is where kind of the math and configuration comes in with the consulting, where I'll walk you through how many weeks you can get extended. Again, you do have to be written out by a doctor. Most women that I work with are able to get 7 months because they're extending disability. And then just in terms of kind of the planning to return back to work, again, this is a broad statement, but just in terms of the employers and the specific language that they have in handbooks, some people have like a phased return back to work policy. But just in terms of planning this time, it's really important, obviously, to communicate with HR, give them written notice of the exact plan. This is the email templates that I'll give you to make sure that everyone's on the same page. A lot of people that I work with have third-party administrators like Sedgwick. These are third-party claim administrators who you do have to work with. If they're supplementing any income, I can give you guys email templates and language to use to communicate with them to make sure that everything is documented and they're clear in terms of exactly how much time you are taking, because that's usually where I see things get kind of tripped up. A lot of these employers and companies are not based in California, so they're not aware of the laws. And that's really a big part of the consulting, is just making sure that language is very clear and the laws are explicitly noted when you go out. So again, just in terms of this process, I know it can feel really, really daunting because I think it's purposely done to be confusing. But I think just the value of really doing this for people is this time is really, really important. I know from personal experience, I went through a pretty bad experience with my employer because they said I only got 4 months. Looking back, I knew I could have gotten 7 months. So I never asked, I never challenged it. I'm a big advocate for working parents because I am one. I quit a full-time job in Silicon Valley Tech to go and start this business about 1.5 years ago because of the bad experience that I went through with my employer and the EDD. I love to help people. I love to make sure that everyone's feeling supported. A lot of these companies are not doing that today. I hope this helps just to give an overview. Again, I do offer one-on-one consulting. It includes basically an overview of your exact situation, unlimited email support, and then 5 follow-ups. If you have questions, if anything's not clear, let me know. I'm happy to help, and hopefully we can work together. Thanks.